There seem to be just a couple of ways to bypass the mainstream media. One is write a book and then hope that Barnes & Noble and other bookstores don't bury your book. Even if it's a bestseller, they don't put it on the bestseller table out front like they do all the other ones. Dinesh D'Souza has learned that, and several others. But you write a book or you make a movie. Make a movie. Because you can get distribution on a film. And as you know, I've had several filmmakers on my show now because I'm fascinated with the whole thing. The sheer logistics of it, how it works and how you bring it all together is just amazing to me. And I enjoy it. I've been involved in many films, both in front of the camera and behind it. And I've done a few short films myself that won a couple of awards, which was nice. That was encouraging. But that's how you bypass the mainstream media to get your message out to people. And a guy I've had on the show before is on again. His name is Chris Burgard. And he's got a film out right now that, well, let's bring it up right now. Check this out. Remember the Alamo. Now, this is not the John Wayne, Davy Crockett, all that kind of Remember the Alamo. There's a subtitle there. Don't Sharia my Texas. Let's get the man who made this happen into the mix now. Find out why. What did it take to get that done? His name is Chris Burgard on Do Not Talk. Oh, by the way, two things I want to ask you to do for me right now. One is hit that like button. I'll have thousands of people watching shows, thousands of people, and I'll get 5 likes. So I know they're watching. I know they're watching all the way through. I know they're liking what they see because they come back and the audience has been growing. But nobody hits the like button. I don't know why. It doesn't cost you anything. So you just hit that like button. It really helps all of us, all of we podcasters and broadcasters, because it's an algorithm thing. And you hit a like button, Rumble will go, hey, this guy's got an audience. Maybe we're going to promote him more. So thank you for hitting the like button, sharing these shows. Sharing is a great way to let people know, because Facebook deleted all of my pages last year, all of them, and Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. And so I have 40,000 people I used to be able to let know, hey, I got a new show out. Watch it. Can't let them know now. That really hurt for a long time. Actually, it really hurt trying to build an audience and grow without that free advertising platform. But that's what I get for speaking truth. How dare I? So another way you can help is go to my website at charliesimons.com and wrong place. And buy yourself one of these mugs. Let's talk about politics and religion right there. Look at that. It's a beauty, isn't it? And I got hats. I got shirts. This happens to be my favorite hats on there right now. Trump was right about everything. I got all kinds of stuff there in my merch store. Or you can just give. There's ways to just flat out give if you can help support this ministry. It'd be a great blessing. Speaking of supporting ministries, Chris Burgard. All right. Without any further ado, hit it. What's up, buddy? Welcome back. How are you?
Every day's Christmas, Charlie. Every day.
I like that. I'm stealing that. My standard go-to is always I'm borderline amazing, and then if somebody says just borderline, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be arrogant, but I like that. Every day is Christmas.
That's cool.
And it is when you're living and serving, living in Christ Jesus, our Lord and Savior. And you definitely are. And that's what powers you, and how I first met you through the Rev 17 concert out at church, or not concert, event out at Church of Glad Tidings at Live Oak. And that was fantastic. And they got another one coming up, by the way, in August. It's coming back. There's going to be a second one coming back. So get closer to it, Yeah, absolutely.
I will be there. Speaking.
Tell me about, first of all, this film. How did this all get started?
So Remember the Alamo, Don't Sharia my Texas. I first came up against jihadis in Texas 19 years ago, West Texas, very remote ranch. Sinaloa cartel was bringing jihadis through. And when my buddy's wife reported him, Sinaloa cartel said, we're going to cut her head off, take back Chihuahua, or she better shut up. So we staged there with 5 different law enforcement agencies to protect her. And that got me introduced to a task force out of DOD that John Guandolo was leading. That was put together by a guy named Rich Higgins, who was a He was a strategic director for President Trump, intelligence director. And then we ran into jihadis again in South Texas on the Vickers Ranch. And then we ran into them when they were trying to co-opt our church. And then about 11 years ago, CARE tried to put in Sharia law into my daughter's school, and they thought they would roll right over our little cowboy town. But what they didn't realize is that I had been fighting this for years, and that the school board president, his family escaped from Iran. So it was, they were very surprised, and we rallied the town council, we rallied the churches, and showed up at the school board meeting. And for the first time in our history, the liberals and conservatives came together 5-0. They voted against CARE. They kicked Sharia out of the school system, and CARE said, well, we're going to sue you. And they said, bring it. And they backed down, like bullies tend to do, when you punch them in the nose.
Bullies always do. You stand up to them, they will back down. Explain to anybody who doesn't know what CARE stands for.
Council on American Islamic Relations. And as you'll see in
that? American, hang on a quick second. American Islamic, that always puzzled me. I thought Islam was a religion. America is not a religion. America is not a religion. So why is there a Council on American Islamic Relations if Islam, as I've been saying all along, Islam is not a religion, is a freaking form of government, is another oppressive form of government. That's all it is. Based on a lie. It's a dangerous cult religion. So it's not a religion.
So Islam is not a religion. It's a civilization. It's an entire political system, an oppressive political system that has rules that have not changed since 632 AD that govern every moment of a Muslim's life. And what we're seeing in Texas, and why I made the movie, is they've targeted Texas. There's something in Arabic, it's a word called hijra. Hijra means immigration jihad, and it's patterned after Muhammad. Muhammad immigrated. He got kicked out of Mecca when his uncle Abu died, took his followers to Medina, and through immigration jihad, even though there were smaller numbers, they worked faction against faction, got into key elements in local government, then larger and larger, until he took over. And when he died, he was the supreme leader of Arabia. He was a warlord. So that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing hijra, immigration jihad. You're seeing it all through Europe, and you're seeing it in Nigeria. You're seeing it here. The European Christians stopped Islam at the gates of Vienna. Well, but now through immigration, they now are 10% Islamic. Muhammad has become one of the most popular names in Europe. And
it is the most popular. And in Ireland as well, oddly enough.
And look what's happening in Ireland. They're on the border of civil war. So, and I don't want that to happen. I made this movie because you'll see in the movie, we peacefully stopped CARE and the Muslim Brotherhood. Let me go back. The Muslim Brotherhood's stated agenda is to take down the United States and Western civilization from the inside. Yeah. And it's in their mission. It's been out since 1991.
It's called jihad. By any means necessary, including taqiyya. They can lie to you. They can make you think they're your buddy. They can lie all they want.
Well, it's not just that they can lie to you. They're commanded to lie to you. Yeah, remember,
good point.
If you want to understand Islam, don't read the Quran. The Quran is only 17% of Islam. You have to read the Quran, the Hadiths, and the Surah. Surah is the biography of Muhammad. I highly recommend everyone read that first, because without that, the Quran doesn't have text. The ultimate order that's out for every Muslim that is to emulate the Prophet, because he is the perfect Muslim on earth, and you're supposed to be just like him. So,
including marrying a 9-year-old.
Well, her name was Aisha, and she was.
Actually, they were married when she was 6, but they didn't consummate until she was 9.
Correct, and you'll see in the movie, I'm interviewing a top Muslim scholar, a guy named Aziz Budri, who's the founder of the Texas Muslim Association, and when we talk about that, he kind of hedged and hawed and went around and didn't get to it, and then his excuse was, "Well, Chris, you know that even today in our country, 10-year-old girls are very mature." So it's okay to have child weddings. It's okay to have sex with children because Muhammad did it. And I'll tell you something else you'll see in the movie. Pastor Troy Brewer, you probably know him from Rev 17. He's on the board there. Amazing man. They've saved over 12,000 women and children from sex trafficking. He says in the movie that the number 2 biggest lobbyist organization in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill is the porn industry. And the biggest amount of money behind that porn lobby is Islamic money. And the reason is they want to mainstream pedophilia and they want to keep child trafficking going.
Tear down the family unit too. They're doing their father's work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short, and he's here to steal, kill, and destroy. That's what they do. They're following their dad, their little daddy. It's
not, if you read the books, they tell you what they're going to do. But heck, now you don't even have to read the books. Just go online on social media. You've got more moms and more scholars saying that Sharia is not here to coexist. It's here to take over. Now, I want to be real clear here, Charlie. I made an anti-Sharia law movie. You cannot have Sharia law and constitutional law in the same civilization. It doesn't work. Now, they'll tell you different. CARE will say, oh, it's just like canon law. No, it's not canon law. And besides, canon law doesn't take precedent over the Constitution. There's already legal precedent for that. What that is they're practicing taqiyya. And as you said before, taqiyya, it's not just that they can practice taqiyya, they're commanded to practice taqiyya.
So it means to lie. They can lie to infidels.
And when you watch this movie, it's...
you can also rape infidels, by the way, both male and female. Rape infidels, both male and female. Yes, I said that on purpose, but they're infidels, so it doesn't matter because we're animals to them.
Right. In Arabic, it's not infidel, it's kafir. We are kafir. And
that's it. That's right.
And that's right. So, and you just see in the movie, my buddy, people give Tommy Robinson a really hard time because they say he's angry and he's mean. Well, Tommy Robinson.
Well, that's the guy in England, the one who's putting together that gigantic multi-million person rally just about a month ago. It was extraordinary, amazing.
They shut down downtown London, and they were there peacefully praying, singing patriotic songs, and. Tommy said, I've learned as I've gotten older, but I used to be really angry because my 13-year-old cousin, Jeanette, was raped by a room full of bearded Muslim men. And the police did nothing about it because they didn't want to be seen as bigots. And now what you're seeing, 250,000 women and children raped in the UK. But now you have so many Muslims into government that under Sharia law, that rape is legal. It's fine. Lara Logan, I think you know Lara. She's her and her husband Joe were in the movie. She was gang raped and beaten nearly to death in Egypt, and you'll see that in the film. And under Sharia law, she got what she deserved. I mean, that's so bad to say, but she wasn't covered up, she wasn't attended, and
Chris is not the one saying that. That's them saying that. That's their attitude. She got what she deserved. How dare she? An infidel or kafir coming in here and showing skin, not wearing a burqa. She got what she deserved.
Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry I wasn't clear on that.
I didn't want people thinking you were saying that.
Laura and Joe are two of the most wonderful people you ever meet in your life. And let me tell you, the fact that she's still alive, the fact that she's able to go and talk about what happened to her, she's superwoman. She just is absolutely superwoman. Besides being,
fearless.
Journalist. Beyond fearless. She's really blessed to have her in my life, and her husband Joe. I think you met Joe last year at Rev 17. If not, you probably see him this year. But
I did not get to meet him.
Oh, he's a stud. He's out of the special forces, and Joe is he's 7th generation Texan. What can I say? But anyway, going back to Sharia. So Sharia and immigration jihad. So many of the things that you see on TV are jihad, and you don't even realize it. When you see a multitude of military-aged men closing down main streets in New York, in Dearborn, in Minneapolis, in Dallas, in Houston, in Austin, and they're shutting down the streets because they're all out there and they're praying, that's not because there isn't enough room in the mosque. There's plenty of room in the mosques. That is claiming the territory. And those images go out throughout the entire Islamic world. Just like when we had back in March 6th, we had a Muslim terrorist attack on a place called Buford's in Texas. Now, in Texas, it's a little different from California. In Texas, everybody carries guns. I mean, everybody. You go to the restaurant, all the waitresses will have them in their purse. Everybody's got one in the truck. It's just, and you know what? We don't have a problem with crime here where I live. It's very safe. But there's a thing called the 51 rule, which means if a restaurant makes 51% or more of its money on alcohol, you're not allowed to carry in there. So the place that this guy hit in Austin was a 51 type institution. So all those college kids in there, this guy knew none of them would be carrying guns. Although in the rest of Austin, everybody's got guns. So this guy drove by, shoots out the window, parks his car.
This is a nightclub. Refresh everybody's memory on this, because this is going back a few years.
No. This is March 6th. This is while we were making this movie. We had several Islamic terrorist attacks happen while we were making this movie. There's Buford's in Austin, Texas, where we're talking about. Guy shoots out the window, parks his car, pulls his rifle, walks back, shoots a couple more kids, and he's wearing a shirt that says "Property of Allah." And he had emigrated here from, I believe, Senegal, I think is where he's from. But then at the same time, then a little bit later, you had the Communion at Old Dominion. You had in the class that the lieutenant colonel was teaching, they shot and killed him, and his students came in and they killed the attacker. These images, especially what you saw at Buford's, because there's lots of footage of this, those go out to the rest of the Islamic world. Texas is the target. They think if they can take Texas, they can take the entire United States. Take the United States, you take Western civilization, and they're not wrong. And in Texas, they've been winning. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I can tell you in a few seconds how they've pushed Sharia law into our culture. But back to what happened at Buford's, those images show a single Muslim warrior attacking a superior force in the middle of the enemy's capital, Austin, and being victorious. He took down all these people and blah, blah, blah. We look at it, it's a lone gunman, he's a crazy person. The Islamic world looks at that as major propaganda. So that's what's happening now. So
there's no lone wolves in Islam. That's part of more than a billion people who are all together on jihad. And even if you say, and let me interrupt a quick second, though, just to make this point. I hear so many of my friends, people who watch the show, whenever I talk about Muslims, which is the actual correct spelling and pronunciation, and they hate that because that means conqueror. So they changed it to Muslim.
No, they changed it to Islamists.
Yeah, but what I have people say, they come after me and they go, "Oh, well, I've got neighbors, or I work with them with Muslims, and they're so nice and they're so friendly." Now, wait until they're in the majority. Look what's happening in Michigan. Try walking your dog in neighborhoods in Michigan and see what happens. So they are nice and friendly, and they'll lie to you because their religion tells them to, until there's a majority of them, and then you will comply or die. That's the bottom line.
That's what history has shown us. When I was talking to Mr. Budry in the movie, he says that. He said, no, when we're the minority in a foreign nation, we're commanded to follow their laws. And I said to him, yeah, but what happens when you're not the minority, become majority? Then what happens? And he wouldn't answer that. But to be real clear, because I made this movie because it needed to be made, but also I want a peaceful solution to this. You'll see in the movie, we beat the Muslim Brotherhood and we beat CARE once before using peaceful means, and I believe we can absolutely force magnify that to win here in Texas. But here's where I'm at. As Christians, and remember this, Charlie, because it's easy to get angry. As Christians, we're supposed to pray for them. And one of my best friends killed people in the name of Allah for decades. He was a terrorist. And he came to Christ and he switched. He's an amazing man. You should have him on your show. His name's Kamal Salim.
I'd love to.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. And he runs Coom Ministries now. He's in the movie. You'll see him. Let's go back 23 years. I'm in Kenya, Africa, and I have my life saved by a young Muslim ranger named Abdi. I would go anywhere in the world for Abdi. But Abdi wasn't telling my wife that she had to put on a burqa while we were going through the bush. Abdi's not in Texas telling, that our kids in our public schools have to eat halal food. Abdi isn't going around telling grocery stores and liquor stores they can't sell liquor. He's not going around saying it's okay to marry kids. So that's Abdi, the person who I love, versus what we're facing in Texas is a clash of civilizations. It's not a difference of religion. It's a clash of civilizations. And you have to break down to what it means. Our politicians, our law enforcement, military, they all take an oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't give a crap what CARE says. Sharia is the enemy of the Constitution, and they are here to supplant it. And don't take my word for it. Watch the movie. They'll tell you in their own words. One of the hit pieces that came out against me last week was the head of the Houston chapter of CARE saying, oh, we need to invite him to a mosque and explain to him what Islam really is. It's like, dude, you should have watched the movie. You should have Googled me. I've been fighting the Muslim Brotherhood for 19 freaking years. And oh, guess what? Last time it was us against CARE, you guys lost. And that's the attitude people need to have here, because what's happening is, as Alan West so eloquently says in the film, we are committing empathetic suicide. Nobody wants to be a bigot. Nobody wants to be a bad guy. And people are afraid to stand up for their culture and their country. Oh, man, now I almost sound like a supremacist. But no, when I go to an establishment or a mall and it's being run closer to Sharia law than it is American law, and I'm seeing more hijabs than I am cowboy hats, that's changing the face of Texas. That's not assimilating. That is building a parallel society. And we see that down here. The Epic Center. Epic Center is a mosque that came in about, 15 years ago or so into Plano, Texas. It's a suburb of Dallas. Well, they wanted to build their own 400-acre city. And it was going to be, if you weren't Muslim, you didn't get to live there. Now, that was stopped. Governor Abbott, thank you. Senior moment. I'm getting old, Charlie. Governor Abbott, remind me to come back to Governor Abbott too, but Governor Abbott had Ken Paxton.
We will. We're coming back to him because now that thing's happening again, is my understanding.
So here's what happened. So he ordered Ken Paxton to go use every legal means to shut it down, and Ken did. Then it was shut down. We thought we'd no longer have to worry about it. Then a liberal judge came in and said, oh, no, you don't have the authority to do that, and he gave them the green light again. So that wasn't Abbott's fault. That was a liberal judge that you had there. But here's the deal, Charlie. I just got back from New York. We did 2 events up there. I'm supposed to go back to Manhattan this fall, in Manhattan, to do some events. I'm going to Chicago this week because in Chicago, there is just west of Chicago, the same thing. They're trying to build a Muslim community out there, and there's only one church standing up to it. So I'm going to go out there and work with those folks. Islam will be the second largest religion in the United States by 2040. But if we don't change, and I'm telling you this, and I'm not a fear monger, I'm just telling you, this is just facts. If you study 1,400 years of history, if you look what's happening, my friends, in Nigeria right now, if we don't do anything, Texas will be an Islamic state in the future. Probably not my lifetime, but probably my daughter's, absolutely my grandkids. And Texas goes, the rest of the country goes. And what we're doing here is standing up to Sharia law. We are standing up to that political system. If somebody is here because they moved to America, they're Muslim, but they love this country. And listen, I know some interpreters from Afghanistan that deserve to be here, that have given lost family members and friends for that. They deserve.
And when Biden bailed, we left them behind, and they have been tortured and to death. We left many of them for supporting the United States.
We left them behind, and we brought in a bunch of unvetted folks. And here's the deal. You come here to this country, understand that the liberties that you want, all the rights, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, they all are given to us by God, not the government, by God. They're enshrined in our founding documents. Now, the God that gave that to us is not Allah. The God that gave that to us is the Father of Jesus Christ. Likewise, the 189 men that died at the Alamo didn't die defending a mosque. They died defending a church. And trust me, there's a lot of money being poured into the educational systems of trying to rewrite history for our school kids. So this is all part of jihad. So when you see folks in the streets, blocking the streets, praying, that's jihad. When you see halal meat being forced in the public schools onto our kids, or into DoorDash, that's jihad. When you say that you have to have the call to prayer ringing out through the entire city, that's jihad. As far as you hear that call to prayer, that's jihad. Every time you build a mosque or an Islamic center, there's a 3-mile perimeter around that space that they declare is Islamic territory, just like if you were building an embassy. That's what's going on. It's about claiming territory. They built 24 mosques in 24 months in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's a mosque a month, okay? And they prefer to take down old churches and convert them into that. That's another thing. So you ask yourself, wow, did the population of Muslims in Texas grow so fast? No, it's a leapfrog. They build it and then they fill it. And they're advertising to people all across the planet, come to Texas. Dallas is now the Mecca of the West. You come here, we're going to take care of you. And the money that's coming in comes from a tax that Muslims have to pay. 10% of their salary goes to jihad, and also foreign governments. And you have to look at the money coming from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from Pakistan. There's, as we find out in the movie, I'm talking to this Muslim scholar, and he's like, oh, there's only 57 Islamic nations out of 193. There's only 57. And I said, well, how many nations are there in the Christian League of Nations? And he goes, and I said, I don't think there's any, because there isn't a League of Christian Nations. There's just the United States of America. We go. Right now it's 57-1. So there's room for everybody here in the United States of America, and folks just have to make a choice. And, if you look at history, or if you look at what's happened in Nigeria, when the wave comes and the push comes, those folks that are your nice Muslim neighbors, the ones that stand with the Christians get killed. And the more majority of them, the other ones, they just go with the flow. Because when you understand Islam, there's no such thing as radical Islam. There's only Islam. And
thank you for saying that. I'm so sick of hearing people say that. Oh, those are the radical Islamists.
Right.
No, it's in their Quran. It's in their Bible.
Yep.
Commanded to kill you. You will be their servant, or you will be dead. One of the two.
And let's not take Charlie's word for it. Let's not take Chris's word for it. Let's go back to the founding of this country. Our first foreign war after the Brits was against Islam. It was the Barbary pirates. Why do they call Marines leathernecks? From the shores of Halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, they get their heads cut off when they're fighting these guys. And, Jefferson and Franklin went to the Khalifa there, and they said, dude, why are you fighting us? We have no bones with you. And he says, we're commanded by our God to do that. You are kafir. And he writes it in a letter. The letter is it's in DC. You can go read it yourself. And they make a big thing about, like, Keith Ellison and AOC or not AOC, what's her face from Minnesota.
Ilhan Omar.
They go, oh, Thomas Jefferson had a Quran and he wrote notes in it. Yeah, he had a Quran. Why? Because he wanted to know our enemies. Because to paraphrase Thomas Jefferson, we must fight this first foreign war. Otherwise, it's going to be the last war we fight and we're going to lose the country. So that's not Chris talking this. This isn't, don't spin it being a bigot. They're trying to, and the hit pieces against me, they're trying to say that, I'm some sort of, bigot, this and that. I don't hate anybody.
Islamophobe.
Islamophobe. Yeah. And trust me, I'm not afraid of Islam. Okay. I know. No. I got a good relationship with the Lord, but it was so interesting, Charlie. If you look this up, I'm actually in the middle of writing a rebuttal to it now. The San Antonio Current, he wrote this thing, and Charlie, you tell me, you're a journalist. So, I took journalism in college, and you tell me, they're doing a review of the movie. They reach out for an opinion from a political science professor from George Washington University, and they reach out to the head of CARE, Council on Islamic Relations in the Houston area. They don't reach out to my producer, Tim. They don't reach out to me, and they just say the whole thing is racist propaganda and blah, 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 blah. Now, is that faulty journalism, or are they actually working, whether albeit knowingly or unknowingly, that are they pushing the platform of the Muslim Brotherhood to take America down from the inside? Oh, don't get me started on the money, Charlie. The money that has
CARE
gone
is incredibly wealthy, and it's a nonprofit that's not even based in the United States of America, and they are very well funded, and they will buy huge amounts of advertising on major league networks and big TV stations, and whomever might be willing or thinking about 60 Minutes, might be thinking about doing a thing about, kafir or a jihad or something, and next thing you know, CBS is getting millions of dollars in advertising from CARE, and they kill the story. They kill the story.
It's funny when I'm talking with the head of the Texas Muslim Association. I said, well, explain to me, because you like to say Islam's a religion of peace. I said, what is the most peaceful it's ever been? Because I'm looking at 1,400 years of conquest. He's like, no. He goes, for 700 years, there was peace in Spain, and they built wonderful buildings. I go, yeah, well, maybe it's peaceful for you, but my people, the Christians and the Jews, were considered second-class citizens. They're called the dhimmi, and they
built wonderful buildings after they tore down all the buildings that were in the lands that they conquered.
And
the Moors.
Here's what you have: you can face a sword and die, you can convert, or you live as a second-class citizen, the dhimmi, under dhimmitude,
and you pay their tax,
which is called the jizya.
Yeah.
And this is why it's so funny, Charlie. It's like the fact that we even have to have this show is because Americans are too lazy. If they just read their own books, they'd know. It's like, this is
Chris. I believe it is suicide by sympathy.
Empathy, empathetic suicide. That's what Alan West calls it.
We can't tell them how they need to worship. That's not who we are.
Nope.
That's not who Jesus was. You telling me that? Why don't you actually start reading the New Testament and then get back to me on that? Jesus called them out, called out those religious leaders, called out those who stood up against God and God's people. And so did the apostles. Stop saying that. Pastors aren't talking about what's happening. Pastors are not up there talking about Islam. I'll never forget this one church service I went to, and this was 20 plus years ago. And I only went because I liked the girl who invited me. And I thought maybe something. But that's when I was not a good guy. And so I went to church with her. And this pastor at one of these big mega churches, this feely good, skinny jeans, slick haired dude, gets up there and he's got a panel of 4 people. He's got a Baptist preacher. Now, I thought you were a Christian. Why do you need a Christian up there to represent your Christianity? But no, he had a Baptist preacher. He had a Buddhist monk. He had a Muslim imam. And what's the other big one?
Was that in California?
Yes.
Was the imam's name Maher Hathout?
Even if you said, I wouldn't remember it. But they didn't take any questions from the audience. I'm sitting there biting my tongue. I wanted to scream out. Every single person up there, except for the Baptist preacher, hates Christ Jesus, hates our Lord and Savior. Why are you entertaining this? Why are you even giving them a platform? Why aren't you pointing out? And he never did that through the whole thing. He'd let him explain about, and then he'd ask a few softball questions. It was infuriating. And I've seen nothing but worse than that ever since then, as pastors are going up there going, well, we need to be tolerant of everybody, because that's what Jesus would do.
The Bible's pretty clear on entertaining foreign gods. I understand why people want to get along and their heartfelt reasons wanting to do that. But here's something. You just brought something up. I didn't think we had enough time, but I'll go into it. What you went through and what you saw there is exactly what they did to our little Presbyterian church in Newhall, California. This guy named Maher Hathout and his LA mosque wanted to stand together against hatred with our little church. And the deal was they were going to get inside there and use that to go into USA Presbytery. And they show a movie, and the movie is a Catholic priest, Presbyterian minister, and an imam. The imam is Maher Hathout. And he's just this really nice retired cardiologist. Very just nice. Like you'll see in our movie, the guy that I'm debating, he's so nice. And, meanwhile, I'll let you see the movie. But through this movie, it was all propaganda. Through this movie, the guy who was supposedly a Presbyterian minister said that he didn't believe that the Bible was the Word of God. He didn't even believe that it was the inspired Word of God, but it was a bunch of good stories that
The
had.
Presbyterian minister said this.
It gets better. And he said that, but it's a bunch of good stories with prophets that have good messages. And I had just gotten out of this training out of the DOD, and the hair stand up on my neck. And then he goes on to say, and I don't even believe that Jesus was the Son of God, but he wasn't a bad teacher, but he was a good prophet with a good message. This stuff is right out of the freaking Quran and the Hadiths, right? So what they were doing, I went to this stuff for 8 months with these guys. And I get home the first night, and I call John Guandolo, who's the leader of this task force. I go, hey, dude, you ever know a guy named Maher Hathout? And he starts laughing. I go, why are you laughing? He goes, yeah, he's only like the number 1 or 2 Muslim Brotherhood guy in the United States. Came here from Egypt. His brother started with Hassan Habana, got thrown into prison for killing Anwar Sadat. I mean, that's who we were dealing with. But they were just, the religion of peace here in California. So that same strategy that they used to try to stand with us, and what I did with them, it's the same thing I did here, because they don't expect you to read their texts. So I'm sitting there, I'm listening. They're all about peace and this. We have to get along. I go, excuse me. I go, how come we didn't invite any Jewish folks here? And they kind of skipped over.
That was the other one, a Jewish rabbi. That was the 4th one. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry.
So then I said to both of these, and I said this, I think we cut it out of the movie because the movie was 4.5 hours long, but I said it to this fellow too. I said, you're talking about peace, but if you read the Hadiths and you read Bukhari, and the guy's like, oh, you know Bukhari. I was like, oh yeah, I read Bukhari. I said, not only does Bukhari say this in the Hadiths, but Hamas has taken this and put it in their charter where the trees and the stones are given tongues, and they say, oh, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. I said, now I'm not Jewish, but that doesn't feel real loving. What do you guys think? And they start spinning and doing this, whatever. And I go, are you practicing Taqiyya? Boom. All of a sudden, this guy in the back of the auditorium stands up. He goes, oh, no. And it turns out that was the guy that was running it, not the Pakistani doctor up front. This was the guy that was doing it. So for several months, we went to these things, and finally we called it out. And I brought in folks to come in and advise and consult with the church. And it was just hard for them to listen to military guys or even intelligence guys. But when we finally had that confrontation, the next morning, I've got a little Muslim dude sitting out in my pasture, putting eyes on my house with my wife and my daughter. And I caught him. I sent his butt back to town. And he's like, oh, I'm just waiting for a ride. I'm like, you're not even near a main road on my ranch. What are you doing here? This thing. He just lied. And he was from that neighborhood. They'd sent him out to keep eyes on us. And that was when, that's been God's mission for me, Charlie. I talked to you last summer. I said I was done making documentaries. I was going to go make fun things and make feature films and, work on my roping and just work on the ranch. And God made this start happening. And I talked to General Flynn last fall, and I said, do we need to do a movie on this? He's like, yeah, you should have done it 2 years ago. So this is all God's plan. It's not mine. And he's trained me for 19 years to do this. And if we did not make this movie, and there's a lot of concerns making this movie, and when you see this movie, we take the entire Surah, the life of Muhammad, and turn it into a 7-minute cartoon in the style of South Park. You see, I'm not a great artist, but I think I did a pretty good drawing of Muhammad and presented it to him. And
they will murder you for that. That is punishable by death in their religion if you draw any kind of image that's supposed to represent Muhammad.
So that was a big thing for us making the movie. But there's also so many other things in the movie that, according to them, they could kill me for them. If you know what happened to Charlie Hebdo, if you know what happened to Theo Van Gogh or to Salman Rushdie, there's precedent for this. But I live in Texas. Okay, Texas isn't Belgium. Texas isn't the UK. Texas isn't France, Paris, France. Texans, when they know this, and when they understand what's going on and how they've been deceived, they stand and they say, oh no. And so that's why I made the movie, and I called it Remember the Alamo, Don't Sharia My Texas, because we've already won a battle. We know how to peacefully win this. We just force multiply that here in Texas, and we'll be example for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Okay. And it's really just a matter of standing up and saying, this is who we are. This is not okay. You want to go pray to Allah, that's your God, that's fine. But you're not going to tell my kids they have to eat food from animals that were tortured to death while somebody is sacrificing that animal's spirit to a foreign god. I'm not going to let you touch my wife and tell my wife what she has to wear. Rape gangs, they have them in the UK. Do you think that would go over very well in East Texas? I tell you what, I'd be very surprised if the sheriff's department got there in time, because people in Texas will not put up with that. And here's the mistake they made. 24 mosques, 24 months in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Now they're moving east, but now they're in East Texas. East Texas isn't Dallas. Where I live, the most political question someone's going to ask you is, what church do you go to? Not do you go to church, but what church do you go to? Okay. And
yeah, I encountered that when I lived in Tennessee for a year too. So what church do you go to? That was like one of the first questions. Not what do you do for a living? What church do you go to?
Yep. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of our pastor. Our pastor is just a heck of a guy. He's ex-military. He's just solid as a rock. I mean, I'm humbled every Sunday when I go in there and how much better of a Christian I should be. And he's holding a summit. He's holding a pastor summit August 22nd, and we invite anybody to come down there. Originally, it was just going to be for Northeast Texas, but anybody wants to come down to this, and it's going to be a one-day retreat. It's all free for y'all, and they're going to train up pastors on how to recognize and face this threat and to deal with it and to go back in the churches, because we need the whole church to stand up. That's not going to happen, but we know the remnant church will stand up. So that's where we're at right now. And
this is imperative. This is huge. It's just for pastors, or could media people go too? Because I'd like to know.
Well, not me. Well, here's the reason why media people can't go, because it's going, the first part of the event is meet and greet, breakfast. We show the movie, we have a Q&A, we break for lunch. The entire afternoon is training. I don't want press there, because I don't want press telling people what our strategies, what our tactics are, and how we do stuff.
Got it.
Of course, I love for the press to tell the whole world that pastors are getting together in Texas. And if the media knows anything about the Bible, we only need 300 pastors to win Texas.
That's right. Good point. Walmart down there, and I think South Texas has got a whole wall of Sharia crap up there now. Islam crap. They've got hijabs and all kinds of things for you to buy at that Walmart there.
Well, so I haven't been to South Texas. I mean, I have, but it's down the border and then working the floods last year, not this year. But that doesn't surprise me. What you'll see here in Frisco, in Plano, in Parker, in Allen, all these very fluent suburbs around Dallas, like the Epic City. They're talking about making a whole brand new city. Now they're calling it the Meadows.
That's right.
They built the Islamic Center, and then they bought houses all around them. So they changed the name of the roads to Islamic Conquerors, and they laugh at us because people don't even know. It's like Ramadan. Ramadan is celebrating victory over Arabs, Christians, and Jews. And we're like, yeah, go Ramadan. That's awesome. Let's have Ramadan Day in Austin. Don't even know what it means or what you're celebrating. Okay. So in those areas, there's, halal. I mean, of course, halal only restaurant stores, but yeah, there's, they call it conservative clothing stores, but it's burqas, it's dresses, it's hijabs, it's all stuff like that. If you take your dog for a walk in the park, people will not be happy with you. In fact, that's one of the calls to action we have at the end of the movie is, go ahead.
You know why they hate dogs so much, by the way, Chris? I'm sure you do.
Because the haram means bad. Muhammad thought they were dirty. Now here's where they use takia. They'll say,
love cats. They'll have cats, but they hate dogs, and they don't want them anywhere near them. Dogs are filthy animals. They don't want them anywhere near them.
Correct, but what they'll say under takia is, "Oh no, it doesn't say that." In fact, it says in the hadith and the Quran that you can have dogs. Yes, what it says is you can have dogs for war, you can have dogs for protection, but you are not to keep them in the house. You are not to keep them as companions or friends. Right. Same thing it says about the Christians. It's very clear. It says, "Do not take neither the Christians or the Jews as your friend." I mean, it's not my words, and that's why. And I realize that's probably why they didn't quote hardly anything from the movie in that hit piece, because if they would have quoted, it's not me saying this stuff. It's the imams, it's the scholars. Right. But here's what we need to really do, Charlie, because as you know, the enemies of the United States have been trying to drag us to civil war for years, okay? Black versus white, that didn't work. Rich versus poor, men versus women, straight versus trans or whatever. There's a reason why the Muslim Brotherhood and the CCP were in the early stages funding and helping to coordinate Black Lives Matter. They want us to go to civil war. Well, unfortunately now, a lot of folks that wouldn't care about the other stuff just work it out. But when it comes to having Sharia forced on you and your family, they will pick up guns and fight for that. And that's what the bad guys want. Finally, we drove them to the point where they're going to be at civil war. We're going to avoid all of that just by doing this peacefully. You watch this movie, it lays out how to do it. And when it says at the end of the movie, bring the Allied Special Intelligence Group. That's the training group we have. Bring the Allied Special Intelligence Group to your town, to your community. They will train your community on how to win this peacefully. And they've got a track record. Everywhere they go, they win. And, hands up. We won in California. And here's another thing that your audience needs to know about. This is not just Islam we're fighting. It's the Red-Green Alliance. It's the Marxists hooking up with the Islamists.
I was just about to get into that.
It's how they took Iran in 1979. And what did they do as soon as the Muslims got into power? They freaking killed their allies or threw them into prison. Those students, all the other stuff, they were dead and gone. Thank you. That's the same thing Hitler did on the Night of the Long Knives, got rid of all the brown shirts. It's the same thing the Iranians did. And it's the same thing you're seeing here. But, to bring down any society, if you listen to, if you read Cloward and Piven, if you listen to Stalin, you need an army of useful idiots. And that's what you're seeing. I mean, when I see gays for Hamas, it's like, guys, you realize they will kill you.
Gays for Palestine.
One of the biggest criticisms
I got for Palestine.
We have a Disney cartoon at the end of the movie that plays during the credits, and we released it. It was the first social media post we released, and it's a music video in the Disney style, and it's called "Don't Sharia My Texas, Just Go Home." And the thing should have done tens of millions of views. It was so censored, and now the links that I have for it on Twitter and on other stuff, you go there, it's like, oh, this content isn't there anymore. Content's not there anymore. It's like it's crazy what you're seeing as far as the censorship. But here's what's even scarier.
Like than citizen vigilante, same kind of thing.
I used to know Army. That's a whole other story. Army Hammer, the guy that stars in that. Here's even scarier.
Bad movie, by the way. Not a good movie. But I get why they hated it so much, because about 3 or 4 times in the film, he makes a very solid point about no, this is what is happening. This is what Islam is doing, and we got to stand up to it. But he was taking it upon himself to vigilante the whole dang thing and to take them all down. And but yet they all across the world, they kept everybody from seeing it. They didn't want anybody to see it. I finally saw it, because you don't tell me I'm not going to watch something. It's a bad movie. It's not a good film. But the message was there. The simple fact that they didn't want you to see it is why I was going to insist that I see it.
when you
And
look,
I want everybody to see your
you
film.
look at that movie, you have to ask yourself, was this written by good guys or bad guys? Because what that movie does is give you permission to go out and shoot Muslims anywhere. Women, kids, children, doesn't matter. They're Muslims, they're bad, shoot them.
You're right. He killed children and women too. Yeah.
So is that a Christian message?
No.
No. So this is, you see, and I've been
It
doing
was a bad movie, and half of it was soft porn. It was
what I'm
just
saying, Charlie, is you have
ridiculous.
people don't understand fifth generation warfare. They don't know what's going on in this country. I suggest everybody read General Flynn and Boone Cutler's book, Citizen's Handbook to Fifth Generation Warfare, because this is information warfare to tear us all apart. Okay, this is pushing at us to do this. Okay, you have to ask yourself, why does a movie like Vigilante get hundreds of millions of views and is pushed hard, and the message is it's okay to go shoot Muslims, where a movie like mine that says here's all the tools written in the Constitution and your local laws to stand up and keep America free and a Christian country. My movie's the one that gets stepped on, and that one's being boosted and pushed. You have to look at
by Elon Musk. It's not being boosted and pushed by anyone else, but that's because I think Elon and the filmmaker are buds. But
if next time you run into Elon, tell him to call me so he can boost our movie too. But
okay, I will.
What's really scary is, say somebody watches the show and they say, well, I want to know more about the threat of Sharia. I want to do this. If you go to Google it, you're not going to get the results from AI that you get reading the book. And I'll give you one example. It says straight out in the Hadith, and this is in the movie, when Muhammad was dying, he'd been poisoned by a Jewish woman. Some say it was his wife. Some say it was a sex slave. Some just say she was just some Jewish woman. But she poisoned him with his favorite, which was lamb shoulder. And it killed Bashir, his one of his companions. And he asked her, he said, why did you poison me? And she goes, well, because if you're really a prophet, I know God would warn you and you wouldn't eat it. And he ate it anyway. So then when he goes to die, he's dying literally on the lap of Aisha, the girl he married when she was 6. She's now 19. It's 13 years later. And his last words to her, I'm quoting from the Surah, was that Islam should be the only religion in Arabia, and that his people should keep paying the bribes to the ambassadors of the Jews and the Christians. Now that's what it says there. But you Google it, and it says, he said that men and women should be equal, and we should make peace with the Jews and the Christians. That's just one example. So you can't go to your computer to find the truth. You're going to get lied. And it pushes that interfaith, we're all the same God. My secondhand, I told you about my firsthand experience with the interfaith stuff. You had one too. My secondhand experience with interfaith is what my friends are going through in Nigeria. They bring in these interfaith councils. They come in, they meet, and they find out who the Christian leaders are. And then when the Christian leaders go back to their villages, they ambush them and kill them. And that's what's going on in Nigeria right now. You're going to see a section of the movie about Nigeria. Nigeria is very, very much like Texas. We were all attacked in 9/11. Nigeria was attacked. Texas is the energy and economic heart of America. Nigeria is the energy heart of Africa. Texas is the belt buckle of the Bible Belt. Nigeria has the biggest congregation of Christians anywhere in Africa. Nigeria goes down, Africa goes down. We go down, America goes down.
Used to. They've been massacring them.
Well, exactly. And why? Because the government is a Muslim-run government, and they're not allowed to have the Second Amendment there. It's funny. The Fulani tribes and Boko Haram, they've got automatic weapons. It's okay for them. But when my friend's nephews fought back with slingshots, they were the ones that went to prison. And so I'm getting, I get messages and texts, Palm Sunday, Ramadan's ending. We know they're going to attack us. Can you guys help us? Can you help us? I can't do anything from here. Ramadan comes, it ends, Palm Sunday. What do? They attack my friend's village. Then they attack 2 weeks later, and they kill these people. The next day, they're burying these folks at the funeral, and they wait till everybody's together at the funeral. They hit him again. I mean, my friend's family's house was burned down. His family members have been killed, and it's happening now. It's happening. Tens of thousands of people being murdered just because there's Christians. And the silence is deafening. But the difference between Texas and Nigeria, we have the Second Amendment. They do not.
You want to know how much our own government on the left hates the United States of America, who we are as a constitutional republic, how much they despise our way of life and what the United States is all about? This is how much the left hates it. Here's a fine example to me. Under Biden, I'm watching this proliferation of all these Muslim communities flowering everywhere, building up, inviting them in. All this free, come on in, build, stay. You're welcome here. We're so glad you're here. We love you so much because we're kind and giving that way. Oh, by the way, let's not forget what Bill Clinton and his gigantic bridge troll Janet Reno did to the Branch Davidians in your state of Texas,
Waco,
who dared to say, yeah, Waco, we want to have our own Christian sect right here. Just please leave us alone. No. Oh, you can't have that, where it's just only people of your faith are going to get to live in that area. Oh, no, that's not happening here in the United States of America. Burned them, murdered them. It was a horrific thing. And there's been other Christian sects like that have tried to start their own commune or their own community. Whether you agree or disagree with whether they are right or wrong with worshiping Christ Jesus, the bottom line is you're not getting my point. The left will step up and destroy them. But yet, if it's Islam, free reign. Come on in, everybody. It's all good because the left has combined with Islam. Marxism and Islam, they're using each other because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And who's going to win in the end? Let's say that we're all gone. We're all dead. We're all murdered, or we've all complied and become followers of Muhammad. Now what? What's the left going to do now? What are the Marxists going to do now? They're going to turn on each other, just like you said earlier. That's going to happen. But I don't want it to get to that point. I want to stop it now. It's not a religion, as we said in the beginning. It's a government. It is a form of government, and it's got to end. We cannot allow this to continue. And having entire neighborhoods, entire towns taken over by Sharia law, and we're all going to go, well, it's their religious freedom. They had that in the country they were in, by the way. Why did they come here if they had their Sharia law in the country they came from?
Because it's
here, Chris.
Because it's Hijra, Charlie. I mean, if people want to leave their country, why aren't they migrating into any one of the other 57 other Islamic countries? They're coming here because it's immigration jihad. But you brought up something that's huge that people need to take a look at. When Barack Obama, 5 days before the election, he said it's only 5 days until we what?
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Fundamentally transform the United States of America.
That's right. Hope and change.
Right. So when you have people leaving war-torn Somalia, one of the hottest countries on the planet, can you imagine saying, I can't wait to get the United States of America. I want to live in the coldest place in America where all the Vikings are. Send me to Minnesota. That's social engineering. That is fundamentally transforming the United States of America. And we had to cut it out of the movie. It was longer, but Kamal told me, he said, when he was sent here by the Muslim Brotherhood to recruit for jihad, they sent him to, I'm not going to say the town, but it was in the middle of Wisconsin. And I was like, I grew up there. I'm like, why would they send you there? Because it's in the middle of our triangle. I'm like, what do you mean it's in the middle of a triangle? He goes, Chicago, Dearborn, Minnesota. We have that triangle. Now we have to get the heart of it. Same reason why they went to Tennessee and now they're in Texas, because they have to break the Bible Belt. And this does not happen without help from the highest level. We had great Obama sections in here where he's so pushing Islam. But I took it out because one, we had to make movies shorter, but two, I didn't want to make a political movie. I was really inspired to see the conservatives and liberals come together just as Americans to throw out Sharia law, because no one was going to tell our kids they couldn't draw Jesus Christ on a postcard at Christmas, which is what it is. It's not just you can't draw Muhammad. You're not allowed to draw any of the prophets. And they look at Jesus Christ as a prophet. People feel bad if they say, "Oh, you're Muslim, you follow a false prophet." Oh, I can't say that. I can't hurt their feelings. Well, as you'll see in the movie, when I'm having conversations, they have no problem saying Jesus Christ is not the Son of God and that Jesus Christ did not die on the cross. They're sure that Jesus Christ, that they put in a double instead of him. Because I go, was it a clone? Was it a double? They go, it was someone that looked like him. But he's coming back. He's coming back. And when he comes back, his mission is to what? According to Islam, Jesus' mission is to tell the world to follow Muhammad, that Allah is the real God. And it's like, so it's like, guys, they're telling you who they are. It's not the same religion. So you're not trying to get along by going in and saying, "Oh, we only follow one God." What you're doing is you're giving them all your power. What you're doing is you're betraying the Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh man, you're fantastic, my brother. You are absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing this film. I want to have you on again after I've seen it. And what I really like, and you have to pay to see the film. However, there's a profit sharing thing, kind of like Angel Studios, what they've been doing. And I love this, where you will get money back for each person that you refer the link to, and they pay to watch the film, and so on and so on. So you'll make money, and I'll make half of what you make just by referring people.
No, you'll make as much as, I've partnered up with Life Christian Network to do this. It's a great Christian television station out of El Paso, Texas. Great Texans, great Christians. So no, you don't make half of what our whole organization does, because we have to sponsor a tour. We have to pay for, all the stuff we've done. You make as much as we do. I think you have to, it's 4 units. I don't know, you get an email after you buy the movie, but it says, here's your link. Anybody that you refer that buys through this link, once you sell 5 of them, you're going to get $50. You get $10 a stream, $10 a DVD. Because why? Because this is about lifting everybody up. Charlie, you reach a whole lot of people. You could reach more if you didn't have to worry about paying your electric bill or doing this. You could just focus on doing this. And I know so many amazing, talented, influencers out there the same way. So look, we're here to save the freaking country. Okay. Texas is going to win. We're going to lead everything else. And we never did talk about Abbott, by the way. But
Greg Abbott, your governor there. Yeah.
Oh no, this is what
now, didn't he?
Here's we did the premiere, and a few days after the premiere, we got a call asking if we wanted to meet with the governor's staff. And I must tell you, that meeting went exceptionally well. We're going to have a follow-up meeting, and I've never met the governor personally, but my gut tells me that he has an opportunity to really lead right here. And let's all pray for Governor Abbott to do the right thing, to do the strong thing.
I pray like David. You mentioned that earlier about prayer. And pray for our enemies and love our enemies and pray for those who persecute us. I pray like David. I ask the Lord to please save them. Please turn them around. Please give them the saving knowledge of Christ Jesus. Please save them. But if that's not your will, ruin them. Stop them. Tear down these strongholds. Don't let this happen. Please, Father. That's how I pray. Yeah, I pray for them, but I also pray that the Lord will stop them if that's not his will to save them. It's up to him. God's will be done. That's what I want. But I do know Ephesians 5:11, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's my mission. That's the mission the Lord has given me, is to expose what's going on. And I do that every chance I get. And guys like you, Chris, I admire you so much. Thank you for doing this. It's Alamo let's see. Remember the AlamoMovie.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
Remember the AlamoMovie.com. thank you for standing for the truth, Charlie. Thank you for
Yeah,
everything
man.
you've done your whole life, decades.
I appreciate that very much. All right, brother. We'll talk again real soon.
God bless.
Especially, oh, you too. Thank you. Especially after I see that movie, I want to really talk to him then. Ooh. Wow, what a time we live in, huh? This is not the time to shrink back. It's not an accident that we live right now in this time in history. If you're a follower of Christ Jesus, it's not an accident that you're here now. Step up, speak out, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America, bless God.